Hello and welcome to CGN Radio. This will be the first in a series of podcasts where I discuss the latest breakthroughs in science and technology, particularly those innovations that are closest to being implemented. During the collection phase of my research, I take great care in filtering out articles that are more hypothetical and anecdotal in nature. I prefer an evidence-based approach to gathering and sharing information so as to avoid any confusion. My main goal is to highlight those findings that have the most transformative potential, in order to kindle the flames of hope and faith in our society. Heliogen, a clean energy company that emerged from stealth mode on Tuesday, said it has discovered a way to use artificial intelligence and a field of mirrors to reflect so much sunlight that it generates extreme heat above 1,000 degrees Celsius. Essentially, Heliogen created a solar oven, one capable of reaching temperatures that are roughly a quarter of what you'd find on the surface of the sun. The breakthrough means that, for the first time, concentrated solar energy can be utilized to create the extreme heat required to make cement, steel, glass, and other industrial processes, which would of course serve to replace oil and other forms of natural gas. Many discoveries being made that could revolutionize our electrical infrastructure. In France, all new rooftops are required to be covered in solar panels and urban agriculture. This has been proven to cool city streets, cutting heating and air conditioning, as well as reducing water and air pollution, providing local organic food and ecosystems for birds, bees, and hundreds of other species. In a time where bees are going extinct, that's increasingly important, as a great majority of our species on the planet depend directly or indirectly on pollination from bees. We have found a way to pull diseases from blood using magnets. The idea is that doctors could run a person's blood through the machine much in the same way as they do for plasma-rich platelet therapy, several times until the levels of the disease are now low enough to be wiped out by drugs or even the patient's own immune system. AI can tell if you're going to die soon. We just don't know how. It knows. Apparently, the AI accurately predicted risk of death even in people deemed by cardiologists to have a normal ECG. Whatever the ECG algorithm is finding in the data, those studying the algorithm cannot seem to reverse engineer what it is. There's a difference, and in medicine it's an ethical one, between studying closed data and using a mysterious, unstudied mechanism to change how we treat patients today. Imagine, for example, if you had to tell somebody they were going to die soon, but you didn't know why or how. Of course, that brings with it a serious ethical concern. One can say that that person may have a needless amount of panic in their lives now that they have to deal with their own impending mortality. However, from another perspective, they may spend that time doing things they would actually appreciate the most in their lives, and the last fleeting moments of them could be spent happy and engaged with the world. SpaceX has launched a second batch of Starlink broadband satellites. They completed their second launch of 60 satellites on November 11th, making its own system the largest commercial telecommunications satellite constellation in orbit. For those who don't know, Elon Musk wants to cover the whole world in internet in order to reduce the digital divide, a terminology used to describe the inequality of access to information and communications that we see in the third world and developing nations. NASA has unveiled its first all-electric airplane called the Maxwell. They showcased an early version of their all-electric experimental aircraft, the X-57 Maxwell, on Friday at its lesser-known aeronautics lab in the California desert. Now, it's important to mention that airplanes, of course, consume the most amount of oil and electricity. Now, if we do not have a solar-powered infrastructure, or one based in sustainable energy and renewables in general, to support the rollout of electric vehicles, they will actually be worse for the environment. Very important distinction. A Mexican student has developed a new form of rubber road pavement that repairs itself when exposed to rainwater. Israel Antonio Brasino Carmona developed a groundbreaking formula by melting recycled tires into a putty combined with a number of other additives. The putty then harnesses rainwater as a catalyst for regeneration so that instead of building roads that slowly crumble away as they are exposed to inclement weather, the water spurs the road mixture to form calcium silicates that repairs itself. That's especially important for anyone that uses a row, not only for comfort's sake and convenience sake, but you've got to wonder how much money you spend on repairing your axle and your car just because of how bad the government is at maintaining roads and whatnot. So if they can make that a lot easier through technological means, then it would reduce your automobile bill significantly. Refills for face cream and deodorants roll out as big manufacturers aim to cut waste. Under pressure to reduce environmental waste from single-use containers, major consumer companies including Procter & Gamble, Unilever plc, and The Body Shop are rolling out more products in refillable format. As an example, when you use a deodorant stick, eventually the softer part at the top will degrade to the point where you see these two little pistons. The idea being that they would give you the soft part of the deodorant as a replacement to just put back onto those two pistons. And therefore you would waste a lot less plastic in the process. Researchers from the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York, claim to have 3D printed skin that's alive and has blood vessels, which previously to this were the most difficult thing to print because they are so complex. The new technique could greatly accelerate the healing process for patients who require skin grafts, such as burn victims. Not to mention that all organs in the body require blood vessels, so if you learn how to print those, then of course you make printing all the other aspects of the human body a lot easier, which could completely eliminate the illegal industry of organ harvesting, for example, and just generally make the whole thing a lot easier if somebody has a defunct organ to get it replaced.